So 5 months ago, I said this. I made this prediction right here. Xbox. And you blew it. And you want to know the best part? They announced this on the first of the month when everyone is out paying their goddamn bills. What's Game Pass going to be? I'm going to call it right now. $30 a month. Fuck Xbox. Fuck Nintendo. And fuck PlayStation. Because you know they're next. $80 for something remastered edition. Buy a PlayStation, folks, because we have Astrobot. I never thought in my wildest dreams that I'd see a console go up in price halfway through its life cycle. But that's just how the world works now, I guess. And you wonder why people are so happy on PC. Why you don't see this crazy shit on PC. Why everything's cheaper on PC. Because companies know that if you fuck with a PC player, they'll just pirate your shit. Talk to me in the comments. And I don't have any insider information in order to predict things like this. Also in my video, I called them Microsoft the whole time, which people in my comment section corrected me on. And I didn't need a correction because I was intentional with my wording, okay? There is no Xbox anymore, only Microsoft. This isn't Xbox Game Pass. This is Microsoft Game Pass. Let's just be real. And I think this picture says it all right here. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. 400 plus channels. Because that's what it is. In reality, it's not 400 plus games. This is 400 plus channels. Because you don't play games on Game Pass, you channel surf. And the reason you channel surf, the reason you have this choice paralysis all the time where you can't seem to play any game with intentionality is the same dilemma you have with the backlog. The only difference is, with a backlog, there's at least some semblance of ownership. You bought these games. You were at least interested in them enough to add them to your backlog. And usually there's this negative stigma attached to having a backlog, the feeling that you're being irresponsible with your money, which I think is a really big misconception. Having a backlog, it doesn't mean you're some impulse buyer. You're not irresponsible. It just means you're fully engaged with this hobby. You're just doing what gamers have always done. You're collecting games, and there's true value in that. If anything, Game Pass is the antithesis of owning a console. There's no exclusivity, no closed-off ecosystem. You didn't build that digital library a generation ago and get dug into it. So it only makes it easier to make that switch to PC and just ditch console altogether. I'm not arguing in favor of exclusivity. I'm just saying, if you were trying to sell consoles to get people into your ecosystem, you wouldn't make it so easy to cut ties with them. You wouldn't be doing all this marketing like, this is an Xbox, that's an Xbox. Open your fridge, you see that carton of eggs? That's an Xbox. You'd be doing what your competitors are doing. Say what you will about Nintendo and their greed, but they sure as hell know how to lock you into their ecosystem. Make it harder for you to switch sides. So this PC, console, and cloud, it doesn't do anything for me. It's just more choice paralysis. I don't want to constantly switch from PC to console to cloud. I want one all-encompassing space to play all my games. That's why I bought a Steam Deck, because it does all of that for me in one place. And then you got this little picture of Ninja Gaiden 4. And let's talk about this, because this is the hype that Microsoft is trying to sell you on. Ninja Gaiden 4 is going to retail for $70 when it comes out. Ninja Gaiden 2 Black is already selling for $30, and it dropped in January. How much you want to bet that within 6 months after Ninja Gaiden 4 releases, it's going to be on sale for like $40? Just $10 more than Game Pass itself. Then you've got whatever this Call of Duty slop is, and then the game that Xbox has been so aggressively marketing that Team Cherry had to make an official statement that no, we are not partnered with Xbox in any way for the ROG Ally Xbox or whatever the hell it's called. And this is something I find really interesting. That if you go on GOG right now, Good Old Games, you can buy Hollow Knight Silksong for $20. $10 cheaper than Game Pass. And you can own Silksong permanently. And I don't mean some digital license. I mean objectively, you can own Silksong permanently. Another interesting, noticing patterns analysis is after the price hike of Game Pass, there was such a mass cancellation of Game Pass that it crashed their site. On the flip side, so many people were trying to buy Silksong that it crashed store pages. I just find that to be an interesting parallel. We also have 75 plus day one games a year, including all Xbox published games day one. Holy hell, that's gotta be good. And here's another problem we run into. Xbox first party games, they haven't been very good quality. Gears of War, Halo, Forza, just to name a few, these are not the same franchises they once were. These used to be some of my favorite franchises. They used to be juggernauts in the industry. Now they're not even in the conversation. And what the hell is this Fortnite crew thing? Who gives a shit about Fortnite? Isn't that game free to play anyways? I feel like the people who play Fortnite don't care about Game Pass, and the people that play Game Pass don't care about Fortnite. Then you have Ubisoft plus classics. Real quick, let's just see what these classics are. Let's see what they're talking about. Okay, we got Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, Prince of Persia. I bet Splinter Cell's probably on there too. Let's just go hop over on GOG and see what value these Ubisoft classics have. You can get Assassin's Creed 1 for $5. Check this out. Splinter Cell, $2.49. And Prince of Persia, all of the games, $1.99. You could get the entire collection of Prince of Persia games for $7. Wow. So much value. Black Flag, it's $12 on Steam right now. I feel like you could just buy these games instead of paying for Game Pass if you don't already own them. It's the same thing with EA Play. Yeah, I'm sure the Dead Space games are like $5. A lot of these classics that you find on these subscription services that Xbox just arbitrarily adds on are usually like $5 on sale. And what is this unlimited cloud gaming at our best quality with the shortest wait times? First off, what is the best quality and how short are these wait times? I feel like Xbox didn't go into any detail about this. Online console multiplayer, this is probably the biggest thing that kind of pisses me off, is because being a PC player, online multiplayer is free. Completely free. Why the hell would you pay to use your own internet? Nobody gives a shit about in-game benefits. And to top it all off, the icing on the shit cake is that you can earn up to $100 a year in the store with rewards. Play and earn. Now, I'm no mathematician, but earning up to 3 months of Game Pass a year doesn't seem like a better value than, the old Game Pass had. I used to hear about people grinding Game Pass all the time and basically getting the service for free. Now it seems like there's a hard cap on this. And if you look at these other tiers like Premium, $50 a year, Essential, $25 a year. So they just turned this thing into pay to win? Like you can only earn a hard cap now? When I made my prediction, I just said that they were going to raise the prices to $30 a month. No one could have predicted that they were just going to downgrade their services altogether. But this all loops back to the same question. What makes this better than the competition? What makes this better than Nintendo or PlayStation subscription services? What makes this better than just going out and buying your own PC, building your own PC, diving into Steam sales, going on GOG and just owning all of your games? What makes it better than that? Because for the price of one AAA game, I can get a whole year's worth of games on PC, searching up sales, buying indie games. For the price of 1 year on Game Pass, I can buy an entire PC. Literally, I can buy a Steam Deck for around the same price as a year of Game Pass. Loaded up with all types of emulators, PS2, GameCube, seriously. When you get a PC, when you switch to PC, buying games just becomes optional. Like mods, fan games, ROMs, it's just optional. And somehow this is supposed to compel me to pay for Game Pass. But let's be realistic here. There's gonna be a lot of people still subscribe to Game Pass, but I don't think it's gonna be the same as it was. just because I don't see any value whatsoever. I see a lot of people just like, Ninja Gaiden 4, for example. Me, personally, I'm most likely going to subscribe to Game Pass, play through Ninja Gaiden 4, and then cancel right after. That's what I did with Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. And I can see a lot of other people doing the same thing. You see see a game you like, subscribe for a month. So you don't have to pay the $70 and then just cancel. Which doesn't make sense. Seriously, make it make sense, because Game Pass is supposed to be accessible for the people who can't afford to buy every game under the sun. Yet you're pandering to what, the 1% of whales that are going to pay yearly for that, instead of, keeping it the same and generating sales volume by casting the widest net possible. I just can't wrap my head around it. If 5 out of 5 people buy Game Pass Ultimate for $20 a month, isn't that more money than if 1 out of 5 people buy Game Pass Ultimate for $30 a month? I thought that's how sales volume worked. Why does it seem like the average normie off the street, people like me, could run a better business than the people up top that have whole marketing teams and infinite fuck you money? I don't see Valve doing this with Steam. In fact, Valve seems to win by simply doing nothing. Xbox, you could have done nothing. And this whole thing with the Xbox ROG Ally X, or whatever the hell it's called, I'll never get it right, it's a tongue twister, I think it's to compete with the Steam Deck. At least PC handhelds in general. There's no way you can convince me that it's not. I don't care that the Steam Deck or PC handhelds are a niche thing, but Xbox, you're capitalizing on all of this while at the same time forgetting the entire reason people are so dug into PC in the first place. It's about options, about flexibility. It has a lot to do with trust. People put a lot of trust in Valve. Even if I prefer GOG over Steam, I can't deny the trust that people have with their Steam libraries, that their games aren't just going to disappear overnight, because Valve hasn't given anyone a reason to distrust them. Sure, they have their flaws, they have their problems here and there, but I don't see anyone questioning Valve's intentions, just them, getting called out here and there when they make mistakes. But with Xbox, I don't see any trust whatsoever. It's just purely transactional. That's the relationship you have with Xbox. And if there's anything that I would want to drive home in this video, is that trust. What reason would I have to trust that you're not going to screw me over? Because it's been a long time since I bought a game for my Xbox. And even when I did subscribe to Game Pass, all I did was channel surf. I never really played any of those games. I would sit there for like 10, 15 minutes with choice paralysis, nothing really popping out at me or compelling me to play it. And even when I did decide to finally jump into a game, I'd always have in the back of my mind that, well, I could just be playing another game. I have all these options, right? It just ruins everything, in my opinion. We don't trust you. And I'm glad to see these cancellations and protests to Xbox. As much as people like to say that gaming is dead, that the gaming industry is in such a bad state, when I see things like this doesn't look like gaming is dead. Not at all. If anything, it looks like gaming is healing. Never forget, people, they need us more than we need them. Vote with your wallet, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later.